I'm going to make some pizza Bianca, which is a classic Roman flatbread with this crispy golden crust and a wonderful light, airy interior. You will find this all over Rome, where it's also used to make sandwiches, my favorite being prosciutto, rocket, and slivers of Parmesan cheese. But you'll also find this topped with many of the ingredients you'll find on classic pizza. I love having a basket of this on the table for everyone to share with the food and the wine. That's why it's often one of the first things I'll make once I've fired up the oven. And I'm going to make the dough using a Biga, which is a preferment used in Italian baking. It's very, very easy to make, but should be made the day before. That will help enhance the flavor and produce a lighter, much more textured bread. So first, I'm going to go over all the steps I take to make the Biga and then the dough, and then I'm going to go over how I prepare my oven. So this recipe makes 4 pizza Bianca, but if you don't want to make that many, you can always divide up all the ingredients. Also, I'm going to use my dough mixer because this is quite a high hydration dough. It has a flour to water ratio of about 75%, so it can be quite challenging to make this by hand. So let's start with the Biga. To a bowl, I'm going to add 550 grams of water. Then another 50 grams of water that I've used to dissolve 15 grams of honey. So that's a total of 600 grams of water. Then 800 grams of all-purpose flour. And 9 grams of active dry yeast. Then mix all the ingredients together until there's no dry flour left in the bowl. Then put the Biga into a container with room for it to double in size, and then that goes into the refrigerator overnight, or preferably 24 hours. Then take it out of the refrigerator about an hour before I'm going to make the dough so it can come up to room temperature. Add all the Biga to the mixing bowl and then put the mixer on a slow speed. I have 260 grams of cold water. I'll add just some of it to help break up the Biga. Then add 345 grams of double O flour. Once most of the flour is absorbed into the Biga, I'll add the remaining water. And when the ingredients are mostly incorporated, I'll turn the machine up to a medium speed. Then slowly drizzle in 25 grams of extra virgin olive oil. And 23 grams of salt. Then mix the dough until it's smooth and comes away from the side of the bowl. That should take about 7 or 8 minutes. Then turn out all the dough onto my board. Using my bench scraper, I'll bring the dough together, creating some surface tension until I have a beautiful ball of dough that's not sticky to cut. I like to write the weight of the dough container without the lid so I can weigh it with the dough before I divide it up. Once the dough is in the container, I'm going to let it relax so it doubles in size. That should take between 1 to 2 hours. The weight of the dough minus the weight of the container is 2,040 grams, which makes each portion about 510 grams. On my lightly floured board, I will turn out the dough, then divide it into the 4 portions that I need. Then with the floured side down, I'll roughly fold and shape them into a rectangle. They don't need to be perfect since this bread is quite rustic. Into my proofing tray, I'll sprinkle over some semolina flour. I'm going to put 2 per tray so they have plenty of room to expand, and it'll make it easier to remove them when I'm ready to shape the dough. So I'll leave these for about an hour or so to let them proof and double in size. Right, so now I'm going to go over how I prepare my oven. I experimented quite a bit with preparing the oven for making pizza Bianca, which included burning some of them, so hopefully you won't have to. So when making traditional pizza, you want a high heat in the oven. You need it to be around 750 to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. That's around 400 to 425 centigrade. And pizzas need that high heat so they can cook in about 2 or 3 minutes. But pizza Bianca needs about 10 minutes to cook. So the temperature needs to be lower, closer to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 centigrade in the area of the floor that you're going to place the dough. And then I'm going to maintain a very gentle fire to the side. If the fire is too big, it's going to burn the pizza Bianca before it's cooked through. And then I also discovered that placing some embers on the opposite side of the oven helps even out the heat across the oven floor. So that's how I prepare my oven. Next, I'm going to show you how I shape the pizza Bianca dough. Here is my beautiful dough, ready to be shaped. Each one will be soft, but strong enough to hold together. With my lightly floured hands, I'll use the tips of my fingers to gently dimple and stretch the dough into a rectangular shape. And bring the dough to about the size of a standard baking tray. Then grab my peel and sprinkle over some semolina flour so the dough will easily slide off when I place it in the oven. Throw the dough over my arm and shake it a little to remove any excess flour. Give it a final shaping and then it's ready to go into the oven. Before this goes into the oven, I'm going to drizzle over some olive oil and sprinkle over some flaky sea salt. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, especially the side that's facing the fire, and then I'll turn it as necessary. And then I'm going to bake this until it has this beautiful golden crust. This bread has a truly wonderful aroma and it's got this beautiful golden crust. So I'm going to let this rest for a couple of minutes and then I'll slice it up. I do hope you try this in the wood-fired oven for the dinner table, but even by itself it's fantastic. And if you do try it, please let me know what you think. I'll let it relax and double in size. That should take about 1 to 2 hours. What's so funny about that? You never heard of dough relaxing?